Okay, hello and good afternoon to this eAF-PMS Q&A clinic. I'd like to welcome all of you to join us, and we'll try and answer as many questions as possible during this next half an hour. We also have organized a follow-up Q&A clinic. We initially set up and organized these sessions to follow up on the information training on the NAPS release, which we unfortunately had to postpone. But we wanted to keep the Q&A sessions nevertheless, in case there are any questions. So I'm Kristiina Puusaari. I'm the product owner of the eAF, PLM Portal eAF. And here, just a very quick reminder. So you may know this initiative initially with the name DADDY. DADDY was not stopped or replaced, but it was simply renamed following a change to move to new methodology where we no longer have projects, but we have products, and we now decided to rename the endeavor to eAF product, because that's what we will be delivering through the PLM Portal. So just as a quick reminder, and today with me here I have my colleagues Marcos, Veronica and Joao, who will also be able to answer any questions on PMS, and Joao is here for the access management. So please feel free to ask your questions using the Slido. You can see the Slido code in here. And you can also, very importantly, upvote questions that you would like us to answer first. We're showing the questions on the screen, and they will be moderated, and we will read out the questions and, of course, the answers. And we will also record this session, and we'll keep the Slido open also after this session. So if you have further questions and we don't get to answer your questions today, you can, of course, keep on logging into the system and review those answers later. And also, if there are new questions, we will then take them during the next Q&A session. And also, if there are important questions, we will add these details into our various Q&A documents or guidance documents where relevant.
Okay, thank you, Kristiina. So I will start sharing the Slido, so that okay, you can start sending your questions. Okay. Okay, can you see my screen? Okay, here we are. Okay, so the first question is, what's the current status of work sharing procedures in the eAF? Are there still certain specific situations where we should avoid use of the web-based eAF?
Yes, so we are still currently in a status with the PLM eAF where we only have the centrally authorized products available through the system. So you can certainly do work sharing procedures using the PLM Portal eAF. However, at this point, we would recommend that you only use the PLM Portal eAF for shorter procedures. And this is why because we are now very much preparing for our new product release, and this will include split products from XCV-MPD and these match and merge products. So there will be changes to the products that are currently available in the system. Marcus can explain this much better than I can, but we will be having changes to the currently available products in the system. Not all products are impacted, but we would recommend to only have shorter procedures, and especially if your products have, for example, pre-filled pens and syringes, it may be better to use currently the interactive PDF in case the procedure runs for a slightly longer period of time and we do this new product upload, just to avoid any inconvenient situations if you need to send us an updated form. So in those cases, there would be some limitations. And of course, work sharings with nationally authorized products are currently not yet possible. But we will, when we have more information on the data release, we will give more detailed description what kind of work sharing procedures are possible and what should be still potentially limited.
Okay, thank you. Next question. When will product data from XCV-MPD be available and present in PMS for NAPS?
So maybe this one is for PMS. So we are currently, so we have to do different steps in order to migrate the data that we have in XCV-MPD into PMS. Right now we are in the middle of a new data load in the UAT environment. So what we are doing is testing that the migration that we are planning to do into production is correctly handled, that we can migrate all the data, that we don't disrupt any current process that we have, for example, variations in the eAF or other processes that are consuming data from PMS. So right now we are in the middle of this data load in the UAT environment. If everything goes well in this load of data into UAT, the plan is that beginning of July, we can start with the data release into production. So that is the data release into PMS. Then we need to do different integrations with Iris and with other systems so the data can be seen by the external public. So it can be consumed in the eAF, it can be seen through the PLM Portal, etc. We are planning to do different communications when we start doing the data release into production, when the data is going to be completely released and then obviously can start to be used. So during this period, there will be a couple of communications. Christina will also be involved in those communications. So you will be for sure up to date with all these processes that we have to do, the different steps. So yeah, I think that's what we have to communicate in relation to the this data release. So it's not only the NAPS, as also Christina was saying, it's also some of those caps that we need to split. This is also part of this data release. Those will also be provided and updated with this new data release. So not only NAPS and XCV-MPD data, but also the caps that we have to split.
Okay, thank you. Next question. What is the status of XCV-MPD data migration for CP products? Are some data elements, for example, ATC code data, currently migrated from SciMed for CP products to be replaced with data from XCV-MPD?
Yeah, so I think that is pretty similar to the previous one. So with the new data release, so the XCV-MPD data release, we will migrate the non-CAP products, so products for MRPs, DCPs, and national, but also for the CAPS products, we will, let's say, include or we will, I don't want to use the word enrich, but we will enrich those products with the data we have from XCV-MPD. So some data elements will be overwritten with the data we have from XCV-MPD. For example, the product name won't be the one from SciMed, it will be the one from XCV-MPD. You have all the business rules that we have implemented, which is the source that will survive either SciMed or XCV-MPD in Chapter 7 of the EUIG. And the status is, again, we are performing the data load in the UAT environment. We will aim to do the one in production beginning of July. So again, you will be notified. There will be different communications about this. And you will be able to see that for those CAP products, for example, the name will change. It will come from XMPD. The ATC code is also going to come from XMPD. All the business rules for the different fields, you can find them on chapter 7.
Okay, thank you. Next one. What do we need to take? Do we need to take any action in XCVMPD today to help support the migration of information from XCVMPD to SPOR PMS? I heard about the need for industry to add the location ID to the XCVMPD comments field in Q2 2023, but cannot find the guidance.
Yes. So, well, things that users can do to support the migration. There is no really an action that you can do. You just need to make sure that the data that you have in XCVMPD is accurate, is correct, that you don't have data quality issues like, I don't know, you have extra spaces in the name, for example. If you have different presentations for the same medicinal product in XCVMPD, you need to make sure that the names are always the same for the different records. In relation to this comment on OMS, so this is not in Q2. Our plan is to do it during Q3 or Q4. There will be an update on chapter 3.2 of XCVMPD when we will request users to provide the log ID from OMS when submitting a new organization. Sometimes you know that there is a discrepancy between OMS and the SMPC because the address of the organization is different. So to make sure that we are able to map the XCVMPD organization with the organization in OMS, we need to have the log ID in the comment section of XCVMPD. For the moment, you don't need to do anything in these regards. There will be an update in Q3. We will also host a webinar on XCVMPD and also on OMS, PMS, SMS, and all the services from SPOR, where we will provide more information about that. So for the moment, don't worry. This will happen in Q3 or Q4, and we will provide all the information, webinars, and updates on the different guidances.
Okay, thank you. Next one. Why was the webinar eAF of 8 June cancelled?
Well, it was not cancelled. It was postponed. We sent a committee. Well, maybe Christina, you want to take it, but it's just because we had a problem with the load in UAT, the same as we are doing now. We wanted to give a really useful webinar without using the screenshots from the systems, and the fact that there were no data in the UAT environment made it made it impossible to really perform a really good webinar. So that's why the webinar was postponed. We are trying to set a new date, but that's the reason. There was no data on the UAT environment. We didn't want to give a webinar with screenshots. We thought it was not useful for you to see how the system would behave, etc. So that's why we decided to postpone the webinar.
Indeed. Thank you, Marcos. And just to clarify, because it was meant to be really a practical presentation of showing how the nationally authorized products are shown in the PLM Portal eAF. And without these products, of course, we can't do a meaningful demonstration. So, but it's definitely not deleted. It's coming. It's just postponed.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Will eAF provide possibility to choose subsidiary company names from OMS as MAH in the future, or will only the main company name be available to choose in the eAF as it is the case now?
Yes, so this is a very good question, and this is something that we have received the same question actually multiple times very recently, and in a way one could say, well, this is not different from the current interactive eAF. If you select the company name from OMS, you will only get the default name, so the alternative names are not displayed. Of course, here it's slightly different because, of course, when you select the organization, the MAH in OMS, the products are linked to that OMS entry, so it makes it slightly more complicated. This is something that we will need to discuss in very detailed level with the OMS colleagues and also with other regulatory with the NCAs to ensure that there won't be any issues if we would somehow expose the let's say alternative names, but also if we can link the organizations to products that they don't actually belong if they're subsidiaries. So this is something that discussion has been started. There needs to be a lot more discussion on the topic before we can make a decision one way or the other. But this is also something that we will need to be very clear on before moving into mandatory use, because of course there we will lose the flexibility that the interactive PDF gives us. But I don't know, we have my colleague Veronica here, who is also somewhat involved in OMS updates. So I don't know, Veronica, can you give us any update on this? I know there's something going on with OMS at the moment. Veronica, we can't hear you.
Apologies, I forgot to mute. So there are actually few, yes, indeed, as Christina was mentioning, few incidents that we are tracking and monitoring in terms of the data in OMS. But for now, I mean, the company names, even if it's available, is not going to be available in the eAF. But we will deliver soon, and this is part of the project that we are thinking about to deliver in the Q&A document or frequently asked documents, a part of information clarifying also this part on how the OMS data can be made available into the PLM portal for the use of the eAF. So he's not going to touch on OMS, also other products data. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. Some access requests to eAF portal through approved people say that cannot access these organizations in the PLM portal. Could you give an explanation of this issue?
If I may start, then maybe other colleagues might want to complement, but we have noticed that the UAT version of the PLM portal is unfortunately still used by a number of users from industry. And it may be a bit of in a way that you don't realize that you've actually logged into the UAT environment. Of course, we don't have the same synchronizations and the same connections to different versions of OMS as we have in the production environment. So we would very, very strongly recommend when you log into the system, please do check the URL that you're actually in the PLM portal itself, that the URL doesn't mention word UAT. Also, when you go to the home page, we have implemented a red flag, but it is only visible on the home page of the UAT version to say, this is the UAT, please go away, don't work here. Because even if you are just playing around, just testing, if you are in the UAT environment, you would see bugs that are not present in the production version. But also you may not be able to see your product, or you may not be able to find the marketing authorization holder, or your products may not be connected to the marketing authorization holder. Saying all that, there are in production cases where the products are not connected to the correct marketing authorization, so the correct OMS entry. As and when we receive tickets through our service desk ServiceNow, we will then, of course, assign those to our OMS colleagues who can ensure that the correct MAH and the products are linked and associated to each other, so that you can work on creating the form. There may be other access-related issues, and you can also raise a ticket related to those issues, but we have realized that most access-related issues or issues with not finding products are due to the users accessing the incorrect environment. And we've also noticed that if you do a Google search, say eAF PLM Portal or PLM Portal, the first hit often takes you to the UAT environment. So this is something that we are trying to solve with the search results. However, it's a very, very important reminder to the users to check the correct URL. I don't know if anyone else wants to comment on the actual access issues then on real production environment.
Maybe just to complement, was very well answered, that the URL that you have to access is plm-portal.ema.europa.eu. And in case you still see that your issue persists, we hope that you create a ticket via the EMA service desk, and then we can give you a more personalized support.
Thank you. So another question. Could you please clarify if it is needed to implement the data for excipient manufacturer or just these manufacturers that are included in module 3.2.p.3.1 and in 3.2.s.2.1?
You can take this question, colleagues. So to quickly reply, the answer is no. Because the current data model in PMS and then reflected into the PLM and reflecting the eAF, it's containing information on manufacturers' data which are referred to active substances. Nevertheless, if the information is, I would strongly encourage you colleagues to have a look on chapter 2 and chapter 8. There is the need, based on specific rules that we explain specifically on chapter 8, to specify also the excipient, composition of the excipients, and also the strengths which is reported. Then in that case, you may need to refer to in the manufacturer's informations. And you can see this in section 5 also of chapter 2 of the European implementation guide.
Okay, thank you. Next question. How will I know if NAPs are available in PLM? What is the strategy to load NAPs? Will I be able to see all products of my organization at the same time? Will all MAH of an RMP DCP be loaded at the same time?
Maybe I can start with this, just because I presume this question relates to the eAF. Of course, there are two parts. When we talk about PLM as a portal will have different components. We have the PLM Portal eAF, and then there will be the PLM Portal product UI. But if we talk about the component that is currently in production, the eAF, as mentioned or responded in our very first question, we have not actually yet started the NAPS product load. You will know when the NAPs are available in PLM when we make an announcement. We will make an announcement when we start the product load, and we will make an announcement when we have finalized the product load. Then I will hand over to Marcos to explain with regards to the strategy. So this is something that we have, of course, talked about a lot and thought about a lot, and it will be a process that will take a number of weeks, possibly approximately 3 weeks until all the NAP products are available. But with regards to the order and so forth, Marcos, please.
Thank you, Christina. Yeah, so it takes so long because we have around 400,000 products in XMPD that we need to migrate. So that's why we cannot do it in one day. We need time to migrate all this data. And therefore, you won't be able to see all the products at the same time. We will do a progressive upload into the PLM portal. So as Christina was saying, we will announce when all the products from eXceedingPD have been loaded into and can be seen in the PLM portal. The strategy we are discussing, if we just make a random upload of products, or if we split it by countries. Like, for example, we start with all the finished products and we upload it into the PLM portal. Then we go with the Spanish one when we go. That is the most, I think, is the approach that we are going to follow, that we will go by countries. But what is more important for you is that at some point when we release this communication, like, okay, now all the NAPS products are in the PLM portal, you should be able to see all your products, NAPS products, MRP, DCPs, all the products that you have in eXceedingPD will be there. We will try to do a really good communication. We are also planning to make some announcements from the PMS side, giving you information on which are the products that we have loaded into the PLM portal and maybe the relationship with the eXceedingPD codes. We are discussing how we can do that. So yeah, that is the strategy. And the most important message right now is wait until we communicate that the load has been finished, so you can go to the PLM portal and check that you have all your products there.
Thank you.
Maybe I can add something to the last part of this question. Will all MMH of an MRP DCP be loaded at the same time? And the answer to this is no. Currently, PMS does not support an approach of grouping authorizations from MRP DCP into a single entity, and therefore it would not be the case.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, so it's 3:28, so I think we can stop the live answering now. But yes, we said we'll try to address other questions in writing. I will open now a live poll where you will have the possibility to rate the webinar, this webinar, and then we will just share with you the exact date and time of the next Q&A clinic. Okay, so here we are. So yes, just on next steps. Remember that if you want, next week we will have at this exact same time, on the same day, on a Thursday, another Q&A clinic. So from 3 to 3:30 p.m.
Yes, so you're of course all welcome to join that. And we also, on that same day in the morning, there's the public system demo, where we will be showing some advancements and deliverables that have been done during this ongoing increment. So for example, for the eAF and for PMS and product UI. So you're all very warmly invited also to attend that session. And there will also be, of course, Q&A session in there, but you can also join this session, or you can still continue posting your questions in this Slido, and we will answer in writing and then continue this session next week. Thank you.